Mic check.
I heard you. How you doing?
Good. Thanks, David. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain at all.
No, I hear there's sad news though.
On the Queen?
Yes, that's what I
Yes,
was referring to.
yes. I was not aware, but Krista brought me up to date.
Wow. Yeah, no, I saw it on the news like 10 minutes after. So, well, it was announced, but yeah. It's sad. I think majority of people have essentially lived their entire lives with essentially having her as the monarch. So, definitely be interesting to see what occurs, whether we stick with the monarch here in Canada or what happens.
I don't know that there's any move afoot to become sovereign, I don't know, or independent, whatever the word is.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, well, yeah, no doubt. But I vaguely can remember the coronation. It wasn't something that I was particularly thrilled about, but my sister was just over the top with she had books and pictures and a ViewMaster thing of it. Remember the, I don't know if you even remember the ViewMaster. Um,
No, I'm too young.
yeah, that's what I figured. But my sister was all taken up with the coronation, but I don't remember any other monarch.
No, I think she was the monarch for the last 70 years or something, maybe 80, somewhere in there.
52s when she came in. And I'm not sure if the king died in 51 or 52, but her coronation was in 52, I think.
Sorry, David, I'm not sure if you said something. My speakers
No,
messed up for a second.
no, I'm just here. No, for what? Oh, okay. But just internally live. Oh, I didn't know that. I will go to mute. Member Smith, I just, he didn't hear me?
I can. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
there you go. Yes, now I can. I spoke into a dumb mic. I just wondered when you get a chance if you could return my book for me, please. At your convenience. Thank you.
I was going to bring it the next time we were together, but
Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the September 8th, 2022 hearing of the Committee of Adjustment. This hearing is being held remotely due to the council chamber renovations and is being live streamed and recorded. Please be advised that public hearings form part of the public record and the words, names, or images of those participating will be recorded and posted online. Before we proceed, I'd like to ask the Secretary Treasurer to confirm attendance of the committee members by roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, I'll be reading your names out loud. Chair Kendrick,
Present.
Member Allison.
Present.
Thank you. Member Dykstra,
Present.
Member Hamilton, we've received a regret, so he won't be attending. And Member Meads,
Present.
thank you. And Member Smith.
present.
Thank you, Chair. We have quorum.
Thank you. Before I outline the hearing format, if you wish to speak on an application that's listed on the agenda and have not submitted a request in advance of the hearing, please call the number displayed on the screen now, which is 519-822-1260, extension 2524, and you will receive instructions on how to participate. A final call for delegations will be made when each application is called by the Secretary Treasurer. The agenda for this hearing has been posted online at guelph.ca/COFA. I will remind all committee members and staff participating in the hearing to please mute your microphones when not in use. Applicants will be unmuted when their application is called by the Secretary Treasurer. I'd also like to share the hearing format we will be using to navigate through each application. Each application will be called by the Secretary Treasurer, and the call-in number for those wishing to speak to an application will be displayed on the screen. Afterwards, the applicant will be given an opportunity to add anything further to their application to a maximum of 10 minutes. If you are an applicant and have nothing further to add, then you can simply say so. The committee will then be able to ask questions to the applicant or staff. After that, we will hear from the members of the public who wish to comment on the application. Please note that all comments should be addressed through the chair. Please avoid repeating concerns already stated by others and focus on adding new information. Comments are limited to 10 minutes or less. Any members of the public who have submitted a request to speak prior to the hearing will be heard first and are invited to provide comments. If you wish to speak to an application and have not submitted a request in advance of the hearing, please call the number displayed on the screen. Since we will not be taking a break to display the call-in number, please call now to indicate your interest in speaking. Once all comments from the public have been heard, the applicant or staff will be given the opportunity to respond to the comments. Finally, I'll turn to the committee for a motion and deliberation, as well as a vote on the application. As this hearing is being held remotely, there are some procedural changes regarding how the committee will vote. When the committee is making a decision on an application, I will be asking the Secretary Treasurer to conduct the vote by roll call. The Secretary Treasurer will call each of the members' names, and each member will respond if they are in favor or opposed to the motion, and I will announce the result of the vote. If you wish to receive a copy of the decision on an application, including information about the appeal procedure, you must submit a written request. A written request can be made by contacting staff using the contact information on the screen. To receive a copy of the decision, please mail cofa@guelph.ca with your name and your file number that you are interested in. Please note that the owners and applicants automatically will receive a copy of the decision. As we gather, we are reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in the rich Indigenous history and the home of many First Nations, Inuit, Métis people. As a city, have the responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations of the Anishinaabe peoples on whose traditionary territory we are meeting. Committee members, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? If so, please raise your hands. I see no hands. Thank you. I'd ask a member to please move and second approval of the minutes. Moved by member Mead. Is there a seconder, please? Seconded by member Dijkstra. Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by raising their hands. And that motion has been carried. I've confirmed with the Secretary Treasurer that we have received requests for withdrawals and deferrals. I will turn this matter over to the Secretary Treasurer to address these concerns.
Thank you, Chair. It was noted on the revised agenda that we do have some deferral requests. There is a total of 3 of them. So first, the applicant for minor variance file A-44/22 for 25 Hood Street is requesting deferral in order to have additional discussions with staff regarding an encroachment issue. Staff is in agreement with the request to defer, and I believe the owner is present should the committee have any questions, but I'll turn it over to the chair for a deferral motion on this application.
Does the applicant have any comment on the deferral motion? I'll entertain a motion to defer from the committee, please. Member Mead so moves, and a seconder. Seconder by members Allison. Just a show of hands, or do you record it? Okay, we'll do the roll call. Thank you. We'll do the roll call for the approval.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, I'll be reading your names out loud in regarding to the deferral motion. Chair Kendrick.
In favor?
Member Allison.
In favor?
Member Dijkstra.
In favor.
Member Meads.
In favor.
And Member Smith.
In favor.
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you.
So secondly, the applicant for minor variance file A-45/22 for 67 Arkle Road is requesting deferral to allow the applicant additional time to meet with staff regarding a fence in the front yard and to confirm the status of a sightline triangle. Staff is in agreement with the request to defer, and I believe the agent is present should the committee have any questions, but I'll turn it over to the chair for the deferral motion.
Any comments from members of the committee or the applicant on the deferral motion only? There being none, I'd call the question, please. Oh, I need a motion first to defer. Member Meads, thank you. Seconder. No seconder. There you go, Mr. Smith. Member Smith, thank you. We'll call the question.
Committee members, please indicate if you are in favor or opposed to the deferral motion. Chair Kendrick.
In favor?
Member Allison.
In favor?
Member Dykstra.
In favor.
Member Meads.
In favor.
And Member Smith.
In favor.
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you.
And finally, we do have the last deferral is regarding consent application files B-16/22 and B-17/22 for 140 Mary Street. Staff is recommending deferral to allow the applicant time to meet with engineering staff and confirm how the retained lot will be serviced by sanitary sewer. I believe the agent, Jeff Buseman, is present should the committee have any questions. I'll also note that we did get correspondence after the comment deadline from D. Murray, resident on Mary Street, with concerns about the application, as well as a letter from residents in the area. There's 13 residents that have signed this letter, and that has been sent with concerns about the application as well. But I'll let the chair deal with the deferral motion.
Thank you. Member Mead, just on the deferral motion itself.
Yes,
Go
I'd like to hear from Mr. Buseman if he's okay with the deferral. I just not sure if he was in agreement or not.
Mr. Buseman, are you present?
I'm present. It just
There you
takes
go.
me a minute to click the right buttons here.
I know the feeling.
We were a little disappointed to see that request for a deferral. We didn't think it was really needed, but we're engineering has asked for it, so we will follow suit and follow what they need to have done. We don't see a concern with servicing the final lot, and but so we hope to be back at the committee next meeting. We'll see. Thank you.
Through the chair, thank you.
We'll call the question to defer. Moved by Member Smith, seconded by Member Mead. We'll call the question to defer now.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate if you're in favor or opposed to the motion to defer these applications. Chair Kendrick.
In favor.
Member Allison.
In favor?
Member Dykstra.
In favor.
Member Meads.
In favor.
And Member Smith.
In favor.
Thanks, committee members. Chair, that's carried.
Thank you. For those watching, the files for 25 Hood Street, 67 Arkell Road, and 140 Mary Street have been deferred and will be heard at a future hearing. I'll now turn it over to the Secretary Treasurer to announce the first application.
Thank you, Chair. Committee, the first application is file A-36/22, variance to permit animal care establishment as additional permitted use at 35 Harvard Road. If you wish to speak to this application, please call the number shown on the screen, which will be up shortly here. The number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. Once your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate remotely by phone. This is the final opportunity to call in regarding this application.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I am, sir.
Thank you. Can you please state your name and relationship to the application?
Certainly. My name is Adrian Latavsky, and my planning firm, Johnston Latavsky, has been retained by the applicant. We are the agent on file for this variance.
Thank you.
Oh, I believe you're muted, sir.
I am. Thank you. Were the signs posted in keeping with the Planning Act?
Yes, they were, sir.
Have you received staff comments? And are you in agreement with the comments?
We are, sir.
Okay. Do you have anything that you wish to add to the application? You have 10 minutes to do so.
Certainly. If I may ask the indulgence of staff there was a 3-sheet presentation I forwarded by, it was a PDF. You could put it on the screen there.
We will get that displayed shortly.
Certainly. So while that's coming along, I can just simply quickly summarize the application. We came forward to the committee on July the 14th, and we were in fact deferred, and we requested that deferral to allow us the time to go and speak to staff, who we understood had some questions and concerns about the application. In our original submission, we were looking for 2 variances. One was to permit an animal care establishment, and the second was to permit an animal boarding establishment. And after discussions with staff and reviewing it in more detail, we have now come back to the committee with a revised application, and we have removed the request for the animal boarding establishment permission, and instead are coming forward now with only one request, and that is for the animal care establishment. And the property in question is 35 Harvard Road. It is an existing neighborhood plaza. And you should be able to see on your screen there just some photos that I put together. One is an aerial showing the plaza in question and its context. You can see that it is a neighborhood facility. There's low density residential to the southwest and south and to the east. And I believe it's a hotel facility both to the north and to the south. It's a well-established plaza. It's been there for quite some time. And the 2 images at the bottom show where the proposed use is to be. And the tenant in question is a facility called Dogtopia, which is a doggy daycare, an animal daycare facility, as well as a dog spa that offers grooming functions as well. And they have entered into an agreement to lease the space at the corner of the property where the little star is that you should be able to see on your screen there. And that's the corner location, and that's the unit that you can see in the photos down below. Now, what may be a little bit difficult to see there is that there's a covered walkway underneath that overhang, there is an existing patio space. And because this use, I should say the unit in question used to be a restaurant space, and it's had this outdoor patio. And the application, the revised application that we submitted, clarified that there was also, as part of this proposal, an outdoor play area that would be walled in. So it wasn't entirely enclosed. It is still in the end an outdoor space, but it would have solid fencing around it. But it would be located entirely within that underhang there where the existing patio space is today. So perhaps if I could ask you to flip to the next screen, or next page rather. Excuse me. Thank you. This is a site plan of the existing mall, and I'm just highlighting where the future Dogtopia unit is, and it's just on the corner space there. And we have outlined in a little red rectangle the existing patio space where we're proposing to put the outdoor play area. And then lastly, if I could ask you to flip to the last page there. This here is, let's call it a typical unit layout. I want to clarify that drawings haven't been done up for this particular space, but I've toured a Dogtopia location myself, and I can say this: they look pretty much all very much like this, where you have sort of the entrance front reception area, then you'll have a number of rooms where you'll have perhaps some admin space, but mostly the spa facilities, the grooming facilities, as well as staff rooms. But then the main area in the back, which would be 2 or 3 large indoor play areas where the dogs are kept during the day, and they're supervised, and there's lots of play areas there. You can see in some locations there are some cages where the dogs can go into to rest and sleep during if they want to or need to be separated from the rest of the dog population, they can stay in those cages there. But otherwise, in terms of noise and impact from a planning point of view, it's very much self-contained. It's a retail unit. In fact, the Dogtopia company, there's 150 locations across North America, 18 here in Canada, and pretty much all of them are within this kind of retail space. The vast majority in malls very much like this one here. And so they're entirely self-contained. Noise is controlled through a careful construction of the unit. And concerns about odor are entirely addressed through, powerful HVAC systems as well as an aggressive cleaning regime. So there's really no impact beyond the unit. In terms of the planning and the variance right there, I just simply will say that I submitted as part of our revised application a rather detailed planning rationale, which I hope you've had the opportunity to read. And I address all 4 tests of the Planning Act in some detail in that. But I can simply summarize to say that I reviewed this in detail. It's my professional opinion that it clearly satisfies all the 4 tests. And most importantly, that there really would be no impact beyond this unit here. And I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I haven't missed anything here that I wanted to highlight. Of course, I should say we are aware of the staff report. We have read it. We also appreciate the time we were able to take with staff to talk about this application. It did indeed result in the revision that you now have before you. And we're aware of their suggested conditions. We're also aware of the letter written in by a neighboring landowner where they express support for the use, but have concerns about the outdoor play area. But with staff's recommended conditions, I think that's entirely addressed. So I think that's about it. That's all I have to say. I'm happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant? Member Meads.
Yeah, through the chair to the applicant. Your sketch, you did talk about your outdoor play area in your sketch there. You are aware if we were to approve this application with the recommended staff conditions that there would be no outdoor play area permitted?
We are aware of that. Full disclosure, certainly, it's a bit disappointing for us and the client. I've reviewed it. I did review the 4 tests with that outdoor play area in mind, and so I personally am of the opinion that it still satisfies the test. Having said that, I've reviewed the conditions with my client, with the applicant, and we're willing to accept that. Fully understanding it means no outdoor play area.
All right, thank you.
Further questions to the applicant or staff? I have one question. Perhaps you can answer for me. In a facility such as this, where's the doggy lavatory?
Well, they have facilities inside as a special kind of matting and carpeted area that is cleaned religiously. And so, yeah, it's accommodated indoors.
Okay, thanks. Any further questions? Okay, are we aware of anybody that is called in to speak on this application?
Chair, we haven't received any delegation requests.
Okay, if there are no further comments, then I think we should have a motion to go into committee of the whole and consider the application. Member Mead, so move. Seconder, Member Allison, thank you. Comments, Member Mead.
I can move approval with the conditions recommended by staff. Just want to make sure that was clear.
And seconder for that. Member Allison, thank you. Member Meads.
Yeah, in general, I'm in favor of this application. Looking through the previous approvals, I know that when Buffalo Wild Wings was essentially there was also the same concern about outdoor noise, and essentially there was limits to the impact of the outdoor noise, and I can understand the neighborhood concerns. So I do think the staff condition to not have the outdoor play area is appropriate there, especially with the university close by there.
Other comments, questions? No further questions, and I suggest that we call the question. May I have a motion, please? We had a motion, didn't we? Yeah, we had a motion and a seconder. Call the question, please, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion to approve the application with the 3 recommended conditions. Chair Kendrick,
In favor?
Member Allison,
In favor?
Member Dykstra,
In favor.
Member Meads,
In favor.
Member Smith.
In favor.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Your application has been approved.
The next application is file A-41/22 for 14 Brookhaven Court, variance to permit reduced length of interior parking space within a garage. And if you wish to speak to this application, please call the number shown on the screen. The number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate remotely by phone.
Is the applicant or their representative present?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. For the record, can you please state your name and your relationship to the application?
Yes, my name is Paul Hanna, and I am the homeowner of 14 Brookhaven Court.
Thank you. Was the sign posted as per the Planning Act requirements?
Yes, it was.
Have you received staff comments? And are you in agreement with the recommended conditions?
I have received the comments, and I am supportive of most, but not all of the comments contained therein.
Okay. Okay, you have up to 10 minutes to speak to your application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to the committee as a whole. My wife and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with the group today. She was intending to join me, but she's recovering from COVID, like many have over the last couple of years, so she thought it best to stay away. So we are humbly seeking the committee's support today for a minor bylaw variance of our personal residence at 14 Brookhaven. I should say at the outset, in preparing for our presentation, we have had the benefit of several conversations and email exchanges with Patrick Sheehy in the zoning department, as well as Mike Kelly and Scott from Planning and Building Services. All of them have been very professional and very helpful, so we very much appreciated that. In 2015, we purchased our residence and completed a major renovation to the home, preparing for retirement, which is imminent. And so as the name implies, the location's on a cul-de-sac, and we have a small pie-shaped lot. And the home is roughly 1,100 square feet or so, but it's quite small, but appropriate for retirement years. Perhaps this would be a good time if we could ask staff to put up from the submission slides 2 or 3 on the PowerPoint, the slide that shows the overview of the property along with the pictures inserted for additional context. And I'll keep going while that's while that's happening. The renovation was extensive, and it touched every room on the main and lower level, including 1.8 meters from the existing garage to allow for the creation of a two-piece bath, a rough-in for the main floor laundry, which we're really wanting for retirement, and a larger front hall closet. As part of this, sorry, I forgot, I should also mention that Chris Cateau was very helpful with the process of the renovation as our building inspector. Over the course of the project, he was providing great advice through the process, so want to give kudos to Chris. So the original home design only had one bathroom on the main floor, and so the renovation added much needed interior space, significantly modernized our home, increased the quality of living for us, along with increasing the value of the home, of course. So after we received the occupancy clearance and moved back in, it became clear to us that the final element of the renovation, which was the garage extension towards the road, was not desirable for a number of reasons. And so as you can, if you can go to the next picture, that would be great. One slide down. Oh, sorry, it was the other document that I provided that had the pictures in it. Similar graphics from the top down, but it had some outside pictures that I took of the property. If we could put that one up.
We're getting it.
Sounds good, thank you. So as you'll be able to see, the property has a short double drive, which allows for 4 vehicles to be parked bumper to bumper, and both of our kids and their partners have vehicles as well. So if a garage extension was added, we could no longer park 4 vehicles in the driveway because we essentially only have room for the 2. We couldn't put 2 end to end. And so that is problematic for us because we do use the garage for storage and a work area, not for parking. So we would then either need to put our belongings in offsite or apply for another permit to build a small building to accommodate basically a workspace, my tools, workbench, and the storage for everything that we have. So that said, we realize those are our issues and not the city's. And so the comments that I'm about to make are more specific to the questions that you look at in consideration. And the first one is the variance minor in nature? And yes, as we shared with the planning team, our request is what they considered at the time a soft no compared to other requests they receive. But more specifically, we are maintaining the original facade of the house. We're not changing that. The look is the same. The external dimensions of the home will be maintained as originally built if the extension is not required. And as a result, the driveway will continue to allow for 4 parking spots as originally provided, meaning we not have to use limited parking space on the street. And as one of our neighbors pointed out in their letter of support, that has been an issue on the court in the past. So we don't want to go down that road if we don't have to. And in addition, the garage is currently structured, allows for 2 small vehicles to be parked inside the garage should a future owner wish to do that. As we noted in our submission, there are multiple manufacturers, Ford, BMW, and others that do produce vehicles that would fit into the existing garage configuration. And when I said I agreed with most, but not all of the committee's comments, there was reference to the intention of the bylaw being that nearly all vehicles could be accommodated inside the garage. And where we don't agree with that is many people, perhaps the majority, aren't using their garages in the same way as they used to when the properties were built back in the 80s and the 90s. So there are more vehicles being parked in driveways, on roads, because people are using them for storage. So anyway, that was one of the areas where we weren't in complete agreement with the staff comments. The second question was, is the proposed variance desirable for the appropriate development of the lands? And we believe that, again, is the case. The home is remains owner occupied, although if someone wanted to, a future owner wanted to apply for a rental application, they could do that. The facade's not changing. The external dimensions are the same as originally built, and it doesn't inhibit future expansion, again, if someone wanted to do that. The other thing I'd say to this one is the aesthetics of our property would not be enhanced by extending our garage closer to the road. So we consider that a negative, not only functionally for ourselves, but also for our neighbors. And I know one of our neighbors in their letter of submission did make that comment as well. They don't really want to see a garage extension right next door to them. And so we do have a consistent symmetry on the court that exists today, and that was in keeping with how the court was originally built back in the early 90s. So we believe that that is maintained, and that is consistent with the intent and the desire of the overall plan. And then the third question that I looked at was, does the proposed variance maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? And I'm starting to repeat myself, I think, here, but we do strongly believe the spirit intent of the plan is maintained with this request. The property is currently structured, as you can see, allows for 4 vehicles to park off the street, and that doesn't change if we were to add another 5 or 6 feet to put a garage in place. We could still put no more than 4 vehicles off the road onto the property. So there's no enhancement or gain to the city by requiring the garage to be extended that extra 5 or 6 feet. And I think that's perhaps all I'll say there. At the same time, we do believe that if a future owner wanted to expand it, they could apply for a permit. I've already said that. And again, the other comments I think I would make on this one are repetitive. It remains owner occupied. Facade and dimensions are not changing. And we also acknowledge that the committee has approved other minor variance requests for garage size adjustments, perhaps not to this size, but the nature of the request is not unique or precedent setting in our mind. So in closing, on behalf of my wife, we both understand the rationale behind the bylaw requirements such as this, and we don't believe we're above the law by any means. At the same time, we also understand and believe the committee can apply reasonable judgment considering a minor variance request such as this. And in our circumstance, we have materially added to the functionality, the quality, and the value of the home for us as the current residents and for future owners after we're gone. And we've done so without infringing in a negative way on the experience of our neighbors on the court or the city more broadly. So as a result, we're respectfully asking the committee to grant our minor variance and allow for the closing of our building permit without the requirement to extend the garage further towards the road. And I'll pause there for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant, Member Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the applicant. I just want to be clear, Mr. Hanna, that you applied for a building permit and the garage under that building permit would be extended to include 6 meters of interior space. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And so you, in the process of doing this, I assume that you have come to this judgment.
Sorry, I'm not
Your
sure.
application. Sorry, your application for committee to review.
Oh yes, yes. So we thank you for the question. We originally, in putting the entire renovation together, and as I mentioned, it was quite comprehensive. Included an extension or a use of the garage space to create the bathroom, the closet, and the extended front hall. It wasn't until after we got back into the home that we realized that the garage extension wasn't going to be helpful to us or desirable for the reasons that I stated earlier. So it was part of the original permit, and it originally was our intention to do that. And so this is a change in direction from the original permit in 2015, yes.
Thank you for that. And I do, Chair, have a question for staff, if I may, through you. Go
ahead.
I'd like a little bit of advice from staff on the required parking for this particular lot. If that garage were to be, say, walled up and used as an additional bedroom or a dining room or a Florida room, and not a garage, would the surface parking be acceptable on the driveway?
Through you, Chair Kendrick, to Member Smith. In staff's opinion, that wouldn't be able to be satisfied in this case because the bylaw requires the principal parking space to be located behind the main front wall of the dwelling, which is set back 6 meters from the front lot line. And that, in this case, would put it within the attached garage.
Thank you for that.
Further questions? Member Mead.
Through the chair to staff, is there any bylaw requirement, or I guess something or other, preventing them from parking 4 vehicles in front of the garage? And we can just assume that there's 2 extra vehicles in the attached garage. So essentially, in that photo they had, are they infringing on like the city's easement or anything by having 4 vehicles in the driveway like that?
Through you, Chair Kendrick, to Member Meads. There's nothing specifically in the bylaw restricting additional surplus parking spaces from being located in the driveway. So a single detached dwelling in this case would require a minimum of 1 off-street parking space, and anything above and beyond that would be considered surplus. So those located in the driveway, they could be accommodated there. However, they wouldn't be able to be infringe on the city's right of way. So, and being at the end of a cul-de-sac, the front lot line here is curved, and it is possible that the parking spaces could encroach onto the city's right of way.
Okay, and through the chair, is just to follow up to the applicant, having that information that you could end up with a parking ticket if bylaw was super eager, is that a concern for you?
No, it's really not. I mean, we've been there. We've actually lived on Brookhaven Court twice. Interestingly, we lived in the house next door many years ago. So we moved away, and then we loved the court so much we moved back and bought the house next door, planning for retirement. And in all those years, so this is dating back over 20 years now, I don't recall a single incident where a resident has, because there are others on our court that do the same, park the same way. I can't recall a single ticket being issued. And I would also say if the city did want to have access, we would certainly make that available if they were looking to work on water lines or electrical lines, whatever that would happen to be. We certainly would accommodate that.
Thank you, and I believe staff wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Member Meads, and through you, Chair Kendrick, kind of the second part of your question, Member Meads, and looking at the sketch that the applicant submitted with their application, the length of their driveway is measured at 7.8 meters, and comparing that to the photos of the 4 vehicles in the driveway that were just displayed to the committee, those 4 vehicles, if you consider the average length of an exterior parking space is 5.5 meters. 2 of those spaces would likely encroach onto the city's right of way.
Okay, so there'd be a potential risk that they could end up with only 2 legal parking spaces here, and plus a third at 4.1 meters if we were to approve the application then.
In response to that, because they're only required to have 1 off-street parking space, those would be considered surplus. So if a vehicle happened to be parked in that location, it wouldn't necessarily be counted as the primary parking space.
So I was just trying to get at is that the back 2 vehicles aren't actually like legally parked in the driveway, they're on city property.
Likely so, yes.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Further questions? Member Smith.
Sorry, Chair. I just thought of something that, as Member Meads was speaking, and it's through you to city staff. I note that this is a double-car garage. And I know it's only 4.1 meters deep, but it's in excess of 6 meters wide. Perhaps I'm being a little too cute in this question, but would it be possible to accept that as a single parking spot? A car could make a 3 or a 9-point turn technically to get into a garage such as this, and then it would be acceptable. Or am I being a little too pedantic?
Who would like to answer that? Mr. Whitmer, go ahead.
Sure, thanks very much, Chair, and to Member Smith. There is the interpretation of parking spaces. They need to be accessed in a front to back motion, and the length, the reduced length of 4.1 meters in the garage would not, in our opinion, be a sufficient length to accommodate most passenger-sized vehicles.
Thank you.
Further questions? I have one I'd like to get clarification. It's a comment that's in the report. If staff would just take a look with me. It refers to the 2015 permit. The proposed expansion to the garage space has not been constructed, while the interior alterations described have been constructed and extended into the garage space. Is that not a violation of some sort of what was approved?
To you, Chair Kendrick, when the permit was issued, the building permit for the renovation in 2015, it did include an addition to the house to lengthen the the garage parking space. However, that portion of the renovation / addition was not completed. And the permit was requested through our building staff to be modified to no longer include that, which as part of closing the overall permit application necessitated this minor variance application.
If I might, Mr. Chair, if I interpret your question correctly, I think you were asking, was the addition of the bathroom and the front hall closet, et cetera, was that in contravention to the original permit? And the answer is no. That was part of the original plan that was approved and passed through the sign off that Chris, as building inspector, helped us with.
So staff has signed off on the fact that the extension of the garage was not completed. Is that what you're insinuating?
If I understood your question correctly, you were asking if the work that was done on the interior of the garage was in contravention. And
no, that's not what I was asking.
Okay.
I'm saying
okay. I'm sorry.
that you had permission to do 2 things and you only did 1.
That is correct.
All right.
And
the staff, I believe's position was you can do the 2 because they're related. So you did the 1 and now you're not doing the second one. For which I'm questioning staff if in fact I'm correct when I say the 2 projects were related, or were they 2 separate projects? And if they were related, then you haven't completed the first one. You've done the part that was beneficial to you, but not to the surrounding residences, in that you come up short to parking. I'm just trying to make sure that my thought process is correct, that the 2 actions in the previous application were connected and related. That was the intention of staff.
To you, Chair Kendrick, maybe I can start. Maybe my colleague Kelly in building can finish this off. But right, as part of a building permit being issued, there's several checkpoints along the process, and first of all, the building permit was issued, like you said, on the 2 components of the garage having to be lengthened to legally accommodate a parking space, while the addition, such as the laundry room, mudroom, etc., was expanded into the former garage space. So that was issued along with the garage addition. Through the permit, that was determined to no longer be desired by the applicant, but occupancy as another checkpoint was issued to occupy the interior, the completed components of the project. Now, where we're at this stage is the building permit itself that was issued back in 2015 is still open. The city hasn't closed the permit because the second component, being the garage addition, was never completed.
And staff's
And-
position is that it needs to be completed. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, to the chair. And so it's still open because the zoning component of the permit is not being met without the garage extension being completed to accommodate the legal parking space. So that just finalizes what Michael Whitmer just spoke to, the permit process. Occupancy has been granted, zoning cannot be signed off, and that is why we are here today.
So to the applicant, you did part of the job, and now you want us to waive the other part, which staff is saying was an intricate part of the approval of the first part.
That is correct.
Any comments from the committee? Any further discussion from the committee? Member Smith.
Chair, if I may, perhaps we should bring this forward and, well, I guess it's a point of order. If we were to vote, have a motion to approve this, we could have a conversation about whether or not to reject it. And I'm wondering if we should have a motion.
Muted.
I think you're still muted, Chair.
No, I lost my screen for a minute. I had a pop-up of some sort that took me away. Yeah, I think that we're still in the discussion stage with the applicant. If you're done discussing with the applicant, I certainly will entertain a motion to go into committee to hold to discuss the application. If we are through with the discussion and there are no other people who wish to address this from the general public, at that point we'll go into committee of the whole, but we're not there just yet. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak to the applicant?
Chair, I can confirm that we haven't received any delegation requests, but I did want to note something that I didn't mention earlier was that we did get comments after the comment deadline from one of the residents on Brookhaven Court, from P. Clark, in support of the application. So I just wanted to note that as well.
Thank you. Okay, there being no other applicants or I'm sorry, delegations, we can now have a motion to go into committee of the whole to discuss the application. Can I have a mover, please? I don't, up there we go. Member Smith, thank you. Seconder to go into committee of the whole. Member Mead,
What's the
thank
motion?
you.
Point of order. What is the motion?
Yeah.
Chair, I would like to
Yeah.
move that so that we can have this discussion, that we accept this request for a variance.
Is there a seconder to approve?
Another point of order. Do staff want any conditions if we were to make a motion for that?
Let's get a seconder because otherwise the motion isn't on the floor. Seconder, Member Mead. Okay, does staff have any conditions that they would want to add to that motion should it be passed?
To you, Chair Kendrick, planning staff don't see any. I wouldn't recommend any conditions in this case. I don't know if building or engineering staff would have conditions.
Through the chair, there would be no building conditions.
Through the chair, there wouldn't be any additional conditions for engineering.
Okay, so you've got no conditions. We have a motion then to approve the application. Member Smith?
Thank you, Chair. I'm having a little bit of trouble. Although I have moved this, I thought it'd be important to have this discussion rather than to just follow staff's recommendation and reject this application. I'm having a little bit of trouble supporting my own motion because I believe that in good faith somebody has applied for a building permit, and once they've gotten a lot of the building done, have requested a change order, and this change is why we find ourselves here. However, having listened to staff, it doesn't sound like we are on firm ground approving this because the parking wouldn't comply. As much as my sort of pedantic attempt to redefine how parking could be accommodated. So I will not be supporting my own motion.
Member Mead?
I'll be supporting my second though. I agree with Member Smith. I think this was a good faith or essentially a change of mind throughout the process. There's sufficient parking in the driveway, even though the 2 spots that they're shown there really probably aren't very legal spots, but there's sufficient parking in the area. The neighbors are in support of it. I think we should approve this application.
Any other comments on the motion? Okay, I turn it over then to the Secretary Treasurer to call the question.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion to approve the application. Chair Kendrick,
Opposed?
Member Allison,
Opposed?
Member Dykstra,
Opposed.
Member Meads,
In favor.
and Member Smith.
Opposed?
That fails, Chair.
Your application has been rejected.
Well, I'm disappointed. I do appreciate the time with the committee today. Thank you very much.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm having a conversation for a moment on procedure. Yes, that's correct. We had a motion to approve that failed. So we now have to have a motion to refuse, just to make everything legal. Member Dijkstra?
Motion to refuse on the basis that the minimum length of 4.1 meters doesn't meet a parking space requirement. So therefore, if you can't park a car in it, it's not a garage. So I will be, my motion is to refuse the application.
And there is a seconder for that. Member Smith, thank you. So we have a motion now to refuse. I ask the Secretary Treasurer to call the question.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion to refuse the application with the explanation provided by Member Dykstra. Chair Kendrick,
I'm in favor.
Member Allison,
In favor?
Member Dykstra,
In favor.
Member Meads,
Opposed.
and Member Smith.
In favor?
That's carried, Chair. Thank you.
So the motion to refuse has been carried. Okay. Thank you. We need a moment for housekeeping and then we'll proceed to the next application.
The next application is file A-48/22, variance to permit reduced side yard setback for existing exterior stairs at 35 Meadowview Avenue. For those watching, if you wish to speak to the application, please call the number shown on the screen. That number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate.
Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes, correct. I am present. This is Brian Welch.
Thank you. Mr. Welch, can you state your relationship to the application? You're the applicant?
Correct. I'm the homeowner along with my wife, Eva Welch.
Thank you. Were the signs posted as per the Planning Act requirements?
Yes, they were.
Have you received staff comments? And if so, are you in agreement with the recommended conditions?
Yes, we've received staff comments and are 100% in agreement with the comments and any conditions that they do have. Correct.
If you wish to address the committee on your application, you have 10 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think that the staff comments and our cover letters surmise basically everything in detail, and we're very happy with the communications that we've had with staff at the City of Guelph. Scott has been incredibly helpful, and so has Chopin. So I think that aside from any comments that they have, that would suggest that what we're discussing here, the reduced side yard setback for the stairs, not go ahead. I think that we're just have been so happy with the process and what they've said that we leave it in the committee's hands and staff's hands to discuss.
Okay, any questions for the applicant from the committee? There being none, we should go into committee of the whole then to consider the application. Can I have a motion, please? Member Smith.
Sorry, Chair. I would like to move acceptance of this application with the listed conditions by staff.
Motion to approve. Is there a seconder, please? Member Meads, thank you. Discussion. Member Meads.
Did we get any comments from the public? Did anyone call in? I don't think we heard.
Chair Kendrick, we didn't receive any delegation requests.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion to approve. No discussion. I'd ask the Secretary Treasurer to please call to the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote on the application. The motion is to approve with the recommended condition. Chair Kendrick?
In favor.
Member Allison?
In favor.
Member Dykstra?
In favor.
Thank you. Member Meads?
In favor.
And Member Smith?
In favor.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. Your motion, your application has been approved.
One second. The next application is file A-43/22, Variance for increased floor area of accessory uses, office and service area to the proposed trucking operation at 170 Dawson Road. If you wish to speak to the application, please call the number shown on the screen. The number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? There they are. For the record, can you please state your name and your relationship to the application?
My name is Harpreet Bonds, and I'm an architect and as well as applicant on the file.
Okay. Have you received the staff comments?
Yes, I do, and I agree with them.
Were the signs posted in keeping with the Planning Act?
We did post a sign, and the photo was sent to the Committee of Adjustment email.
Okay. If you have any further comments that you wish to make in support of your application, you have 10 minutes to address the committee.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and rest of the committee members. I just want to add a couple of things that our property is a ground up building, falls under zoning B4 industrial zone, and we are designing a trucking operation around 10,000 square feet of building. And within the zoning bylaws, we need an office area as well as a service area because it's a trucking operation. And that only allows me under accessory use 25%. And we are asking instead of 25%, we are asking 33.18 because it's a trucking operation and it will be used by the same client. We are not going to hire anybody else to use that facility. And there will be trucks coming, so they need some kind of repair. And obviously, you will agree with me that for that kind of operation, you need a small office space. So that's what we are asking. Instead of 25%, we are asking 33.18. Nothing else. Everything else we satisfy as for zoning, whether it is offset, whether it is coverage, whether it is parking. We are already giving 21 parking, which is much more than required. It's a simple application. That's all.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant? Member Smith.
Through you, Chair, this is for staff. I just would like to hear directly from staff that they believe that 33% rather than 25% of coverage represents a minor request.
Thank you. Through the chair to Member Smith, it is staff's opinion that this proposal does meet the 4 tests of a minor variance, and the increase in accessible accessory space for those 2 uses is desirable. I think critically we looked at this to ensure that that secondary use did stay auxiliary to the principal trucking operation, and we found that with discussions with the applicant that the use is going to be supporting that trucking operation, and for that instance, it will remain secondary and subsidiary to the principal. So we feel that that expansion doesn't impact or negatively impact the operation, and on the opposite, will support it further.
Thank you very much for the clarification. Appreciate it.
You did.
You're right. I'm talking to myself again. Thank you for the comment, Mr. Wilson. Any other questions for staff? None. May I have a motion on the application, please? Member Mead.
Move approval with conditions.
And there's a seconder. Member Allison, thank you. Motion to go into committee of the whole to consider. We've done that. We need to, any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Ask the secretary to please call the question.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion, which is to approve the application with the one recommended condition. Chair Kendrick,
In favor.
Member Allison,
In favor?
Member Dykstra,
In favor.
Member Meads,
In favor.
and Member Smith.
In favor.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Your application has been approved. Okay, so we'll move now to the next item on the agenda, which would be, go ahead.
Sorry. The next application is file A-42/22, variance to permit reduced side yard setback for proposed residential addition at 58 Dufferin Street. For those that are watching and wish to speak to the application, please call the number shown on the screen. The number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate remotely.
Is the applicant present?
I am, Chair.
There you go, Mr. Cameron. Thank you. Will you state your name and your relationship to the application for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Blair Cameron. I'm the resident at the address in question.
Were the signs posted in keeping with the Planning Act requirements?
Yes, they were, Chair.
Have you received staff comments?
Yes, we have.
And are you, if you're in agreement or have any comments to make, now would be the time. You have 10 minutes to address the committee.
Sure. No, I appreciate the committee's time and the comments from staff. I don't have anything further to add beyond what was in the application, but would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for your brevity. Committee members, any questions for the application? Mr. Member Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the applicant, I'm looking at the sketch, and it's a very professional looking job. I'm just a little bit confused. It seems that there were stairs and the stairs are being removed. Is that correct? Or am I not seeing that properly?
Yeah, sure. Okay, maybe I can speak to that. Currently, there are some stairs there because of the grade of the property is quite high on the back of the house and slopes down towards the road on Dufferin Street. And so what we're proposing with the addition is to excavate at the back to create an exterior patio, and that would remove the requirement for the stairs, and that would be replaced with a retaining wall so as not to impact our neighbor's property.
Okay, so I guess what I was trying to draw out is whether or not there should be another request, but it looks like this has all been covered. So
okay.
I appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions from the committee for the delegate? No further questions. Motion. What is your wishes? Go into the committee of the whole. Member Dykstra, motion.
Motion to approve with conditions.
And a seconder, please. Member Meads. Okay. We'll go into committee of the whole to consider the application. Any discussion on the motion? There being none, Ask the Secretary Treasurer to call the question.
Thank you, Chair. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion, which is to approve the application with the one recommended condition. Chair Kendrick? Member Allison?
In favor?
Member Dykstra?
In favor.
Member Meads?
In favor.
And Member Smith?
In favor.
That's unanimous, Chair.
Chair, you are muted. Also, you were muted during your vote as well. I believe you voted in favor, but just wanted a clarification on that.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I apologize for that. We are carried. The application's been approved, and we'll move to the next application then. Thank you, Mr. Cameron.
The next application is file B-15/22, consent for lot addition at 32 Spring Street. If you wish to speak to this application, please call the number shown on the screen. The number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate remotely by phone. This is the final opportunity to call in regarding this application. I also wanted to note for the committee members as well as those attending is Heritage staff is recommending a slight change to the wording of the heritage condition that they were recommending. The new revised wording that they've provided is just to clarify the timing for that amending bylaw. So the revised condition is proposed to be as follows: that upon the registration of the certificate of official and application to consolidate, an amending bylaw be passed by City Council and registered on title by the city to remove the severed lands from the heritage bylaw registered as bylaw number 2004-17606 at the sole expense of the owner, at the discretion of the city, and to the satisfaction of the city solicitor. So just the first section of that condition has been replaced from prior to building permit to prior to the upon registration of the certificate and consolidation. So I just wanted to note that for the committee members as well as those attending, and that wording has already been provided to the applicant.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, I am. Jeff Buseman.
Thank you. You stated your name, your relationship to the application, please.
I am the agent for the applicant for the property owners.
Thank you. That's just for the record. Thank you, Mr. Buseman. Was the sign posted in keeping with the Planning Act?
Yes, it was.
Have you received staff comments?
Yes, I have.
And if you wish to make any comments on their comments, now's the time to do so.
No, I'm supportive of their comments. In summary, it's a simple lot line adjustment to take care of historic occupational features, namely a hot tub and a fireplace pit. If you would like to show the drawing, Secretary Treasurer, that'd be great. So these are relatively large lots for being inside in more downtownish, or this is relatively close to the hospital. And but there's quite a bit of bush and trees in the back. To the rear is Homewood. So the property to the left, house number 32, their fire pit and patio encroach over the line, and the hot tub is extremely close to the property line. So the idea is to have this lot line adjustment so that 32 will be, it'll now accommodate those features. It really doesn't impact the resultant property in terms of look or appeal or anything in that way. So I'm happy to answer any questions or comments that the committee has.
Committee members, do you have any questions for Mr. Buseman? Member Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to city staff. I'm looking at the survey and it tells me that the Homewood Health Center is behind both lots. Is that part of the Homewood CHL?
Mr. Buseman?
I'm sorry, I don't know the Homewood CHL. I think that's a staff question. I
Yes, it
apologize.
is.
Okay, staff.
Are you sorry, through the chair to Member Smith, are you referencing the cultural heritage? I don't think that these lands are connected, if that answers your question.
No, I'm curious if it abuts the Homewood CHL.
Through the chair to Member Smith, I don't believe so, but I can definitely check, and by the end of this call, could try to provide that information to you. I'll need to double check. In my review, I didn't note it, or if it was, didn't note it as a major concern, because we did have environmental staff go on site to do an assessment. So they did provide their opinions that this severance, this boundary adjustment wouldn't be constituted as development and wouldn't have an adverse impact. So if it is adjacent, then I don't have necessarily concerns, but I can definitely try to look that up for you, Member Smith.
Thank you. Is there anyone from Heritage Planning on the call at our meeting that might be able to answer that?
I don't see anybody on the roster that I can see. No. Secretary Treasurer says no, there's no participation.
Oh, because I do have another question that
Go ahead.
really a heritage question, because my only real concern, I guess I have two concerns. One is if there is any impact, I'd like to hear professional staff opine on as it impacts the Homewood CHL as well. On the designation for this property, there's a view corridor that's called out as View A that looks towards this part of the property, and I just like a little bit of qualification to make sure that this is minor in nature, because it does seem to me that it might be impacting this view corridor that's called out in the designation. So I don't know if there's anyone from staff that can answer that question.
Mr. Wilson has returned. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Through the chair to Member Smith, what I can confirm is that this was circulated to Heritage Planning and they didn't raise a concern. This is a lot line adjustment, so no development is being proposed. If there was any development, we'd obviously have another lens on it that may have an impact, but it's our opinion that this boundary adjustment won't have an impact. I hope that satisfies your concern.
To a degree, I'm just a little disappointed that since this is a designated property and that it also adjoins what I believe is the Homewood CHL, that Heritage staff are not present to answer our questions, and I'll leave my comment at that.
Duly noted. Any further questions? There are no further questions. Oh, and we do have a call.
Chair Kendrick, we do have someone that wishes to delegate on the application if the committee members are done with their questions. The name is Grant Robertson.
Mr. Robertson?
Yes.
You can hear us?
I can. I am calling in remotely. I just want to add the question to the last person that was asking about the sight line. The property dips down quite a bit, so you cannot see anything from the road or the Homewood. as well, I just wanted to give you a slight bit of background. My wife and I own the property, and between us and her family, we've had it for over 50 years. This and the property has been used by our family for all that time. It was just brought to light after our neighbor, Ian Finley, had a survey done. So it was a surprise to all parties, and we are both in agreement to getting this done. In fact, he was having another separate application, and he'd already included it on that.
Any questions, Mr. Smith?
No, I'm good. Thank you, Chair.
That's fine. Any further discussion on the application? If not, I think we're ready to have a motion. Member Dykstra?
Motion for approval with the conditions, the altered heritage condition as worded by the Secretary Treasurer sort of at the beginning of this.
And a seconder for that motion? Member Mead, thank you. Discussion, Member Mead.
Through the chair to Mr. Smith. So from your perspective, we don't have heritage concerns on this property. I don't know, maybe it's, I believe you were on the Heritage Committee, and that's just why I was kind of asking your opinion on it. Whether it's something of concern, like should we be adding something just to make sure it's to the satisfaction of the Heritage Committee?
My concern was I just wanted to get some answers. My concern was just to alleviate any sort of perception that this is impacting either the view corridor or the adjacent. And I'm just a little disappointed that there wasn't. I mean, staff has already said we have no concerns. I accept staff's professional judgment. I would just, in a hearing, would like to hear that from the appropriate staff. And I believe that this is technical in nature and will be supporting.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it's just a case of they're moving a lot line. Nothing's actually changing. And that would really be covered under the council bylaw too as well. If they were to adjust it, then a concern could be raised there. You're muted, Chair.
Any further questions? Okay, we'll proceed with the vote. Ask the secretary to call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Kendrick. Committee members, please indicate if you're in favor or opposed to the motion to approve the application with the 9 recommended conditions, including the revised heritage condition I mentioned at the start of the hearing. Chair Kendrick?
In favor.
Member Allison?
In favor.
Member Dykstra?
In favor.
Member Meads?
In favor.
And Member Smith?
I'm in favor.
That's carried, Chair.
Your application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
The next application is file B-18/22 and A-46/22, consent for lot addition to 188 Dublin Street North and related variance to permit reduced lot area for proposed retained parcel at 9 King Edward Place.
Is the applicant or their representative present?
Jeff Buseman, I'm the applicant for the property owners.
Welcome to Committee of Adjustment again, Mr. Buseman.
Thank you.
Do you have, you've received committee the comments of staff
Yes, I have received them.
Signs were posted.
Yes.
If you have any comments you wish to make,
If we
please
could
proceed.
put up the diagram, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're in the process of getting that for you.
Super. I mean, it's pretty straightforward application. It's a minor lot line adjustment, 12 square meters, so that's not very much. Acute. This is a very, I think, exciting project. I don't know if any of the committee members had the chance to go and visit the site, but this house is a super duper green. I'm not using the right terms, but a very green home. That new house that's been built. When I drove by the other day, I noticed on my bike, no less, I saw them putting sod on the roof. So it's a green home, and one of the participants in the property development is the owner of the property facing Dublin Street. And the way they set it all up, and they got the fence built already, it makes sense where that we adjust the property line so that it goes along the fence that has been built. There's adequate side yard still on the side of the house there at 1.7 meters. The related variance is that the property will now have 420 square meters instead of 460. And the small reduction will not impact the amenity space whatsoever on the house that's newly built. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or if there's any comments from committee members or staff. Thank you.
Committee members, any questions for the applicant? I see no hands. Okay. Do we have anybody else that we know of that wishes to speak to this application?
Chair Kendrick, there's been no delegation requests.
Okay, so then, committee, are you ready to move to committee of the whole? So moved. Member Meads, Member Smith, can I have a motion to approve? Member Mead, Member Smith, motion to approve. Any comments, questions? I'll ask the Secretary Treasurer to call the question.
Thank you, Chair Kendrick. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion to approve. And this is for both applications, the consent and minor variance application. There is 7 conditions associated with the consent application and the 1 recommended condition for the variance. Chair Kendrick.
In favor.
Member Allison.
In favor.
Member Dykstra.
In favor.
Member Meads.
In favor.
And Member Smith.
In favor.
That's carried, Chair.
Your application has been approved.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. And we have one remaining application before us.
The last application we have before us is file A-47/22, variance to permit additional use, personal service establishment at 23 Garibaldi Street. If you wish to speak to this application, please call the number shown on the screen. The phone number is 519-822-1260, extension 2524. When your call is received, staff will provide instructions on how you can delegate remotely.
Is the applicant or their representative present?
Yes.
Can you state your name and your relationship to the application, please?
My name is Marjorie Apolinario. It's for 23 Garibaldi Street, and relationship Emily Lisi.
Okay, was the signs posted in keeping with the Planning Act?
Yeah.
And have you received staff comments? And if so, are you in agreement with the recommended conditions?
Yes.
Okay, if you wish to make a presentation to the committee, you have 10 minutes to do so.
I just want to ask that if I'm allowed to do personal services basically in the unit that I'm renting from. It's unit F. So there's a big main room and then there's a small room involved. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so
Hello?
I'm here. We're here.
Sorry.
Any questions for the applicant from the committee members? Member Smith.
Through you, Chair, my curiosity is piqued. What is meant by personal service establishment?
So my services would involve lash extensions, facials, laser hair removal, nails, everything beauty related except for hair.
So nothing that would interest me. Thank you, Chair.
Member Dijkstra.
Just making sure that there's enough parking for the requested retail service.
Yes, we have 4 parking spots in the front where my entrance is.
And through the chair to Member Dijkstra, if I may, this property is a multi-unit property, and with that, there is one parking calculation done. We don't calculate parking for a new use that comes in every time. It's an older property developed, this would be my guess, prior to bylaws. So what is there is legal non-complying in terms of setbacks, parking space, amounts, and dimensions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the committee members? There being none, we'll proceed to Member Smith.
I was going to move approval of the application.
Okay, I don't have to do the preamble. We'll just jump right in. That's fine. Moved by Member Smith, seconded by Member Meads. Discussion, comments. Ready for the question.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll just confirm that there was no delegation request as well. Committee members, please indicate your vote by responding in favor or opposed to the motion, which is to approve the application, and there are no conditions associated with that approval. Chair Kendrick.
In favor?
Member Allison.
In favor?
Member Dijkstra.
In favor.
Member Meads.
In favor.
And Member Smith.
In favor.
That's carried, Chair.
Your application has been approved.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone that's present right now. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Thank you. That being the end of the agenda, do we have any items of interest? Or yes, we do. Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you, Chair. Just one quick update. You'll see that we had listed on the agenda regarding the 2022-2026 term of the Committee of Adjustment. I just wanted to give a quick update for the committee members as well as those listening that we are currently recruiting for members to sit on the committee for the term, the next term, which is the 2022 to 2026 term. So applications are open until September 22nd, 2022. And those that are interested can apply at guelph.ca/committees. Any current members of the committee that are eligible for reappointment and who wish to be reappointed will need to reapply online on the website. So I just wanted to make the committee members aware of that. And that was it for announcements.
Anything from the committee that Member Mead?
To the chair, to the secretary. When does the appointment for the current term end? Because I think there might be like a month or something of overlap with the current council.
Through the chair to committee member Meads. So technically the appointments do end November 15th. That's the date of the inaugural meeting for the next city council. However, we do have a caveat in there, or until the successors are appointed. So usually there is a bit of overlap there that we like to get, we need to get the new members appointed and them oriented and trained. So usually The term ends sometime end of the year or January, but I'll provide more information to current committee members about that as well.
That answers the question. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
God
Entertain a
save
motion.
the king.
God save the king. Motion to adjourn, please. Moved by member Mead, seconded by member Dystra. We are adjourned.